All right, I think
You can do it.
I think I can definitely make it through this. But I think.
No
Don't
shot.
promise this. Have a little faith. I obviously have not had to read one of these before, so I just kind of didn't follow the format.
Wrote from your heart.
Wrote what I thought. Please excuse any stuttering or any mistakes. Okay. Anyone who knew my mom will understand when I say that she was a woman not easily encapsulated through words and words alone. There are certain nuances about her, complexities and layers to everything she was that I will never be able to translate in a way that feels right. But I feel honored to even have the chance to try and tell you the story of my mother, one that will never leave the shelf of my mind, even as the years flurry off the calendar like snow. I want to tell you the story of my mother, not in a chronological timeline with dates and locations, but in a way that amplifies who she was, how she lived, how she loved, and the legacy she leaves behind. In the words of her sister Donna, my mom had an endless curiosity as a young child. Most toddlers enter a why phase at some point, questioning the reason behind every statement they're presented with, every fact of the world as they begin to grasp life around them. Although the whys began to be asked more inwardly and less pestering of the adults around her, I don't think my mom ever grew out of the need to inquire about everything. She was relentless in wanting answers and delving deeper and exploring the truth behind a facade. I think part of that is due to how fiercely intelligent my mother was. Her brain was never satisfied with a base level of information, and I don't think that many people have the capacity to think the way she did. I cannot emphasize enough the beauty of her mind, the complexity of it, both a blessing and a curse to her in the end. To some degree, I always knew my mom wasn't like any of the other moms of my friends and peers. And not because I didn't have a nuclear family, or that we struggled with money at times, or that she wasn't a PTA mom that worked bake sales at school. I recognized she was different in the same way she knew she was different her whole life, with early memories of reading the spines of every Sylvia Plath book on a shelf, tarot cards on the kitchen counter, scrapbook spreads that only she could understand. My mom was peculiar and eccentric, and I now regret feeling embarrassed about it in front of company of friends, preemptively poking fun at her offbeat beliefs and interests before they had the chance to. In truth, it's one of the things I loved about her the most. Her higher level thinking, her appreciation for literature and music and religion and balancing your chakras, and the unapologetic expression of it all. I was constantly in awe of how well read she was across so many things, especially when I was young. I thought there wasn't a single topic she didn't know something about. Now, I can only hope that she departed with the single most important piece of knowledge, that she was loved, still is, always will be, and that I would give anything to hear her tell me something new and unusual one more time. There are many, many things I'll miss about my mom, but the sheer radiance of her is the absence I feel the most. My mom was a light, a ball of bright, undiluted energy, somehow still shining even at her lowest. When she would smile, genuinely smile, it was like the rest of the world around me stopped, and her joy was worth more than all of our worldly possessions combined. Her laugh was always able to break through even the worst of my moods, so animated and warm, it was impossible to not want to join her in it. With the energy of a supernova and an intelligence few could match, came a capacity to feel and experience things deeper that knew no end. My mom lived with an intensity that would exhaust most people within a few years of living. If the average person was living in black and white, she lived in colors yet to be named, painting a canvas only she could see. Through it all, I don't think my mom ever sought to be understood. She knew that was never a true possibility, and not for anyone, but just heard, listened to, acknowledged and seen for all that she was, with forgiveness for all that she couldn't be. So many nights I spent with her, holding her in bed while she cried, just listening, being present, walking through it with her. I think she just wanted to be told it was going to be okay, even if neither of us knew how. Her perseverance in the face of things that she went through, when some events by themselves would break some women indefinitely, still remains beyond me. The sheer strength of will my mom had, the ability to keep going, to regroup after every mini earthquake shook her foundation is a trait I hate that she had to rely on so much. But without it, I don't know what we would have done. She loved my brothers and I, and for that she would find new ways to power through, to reinvent her career, to stop at nothing until we got the support we needed. She was a warrior at heart, an unrelenting fighter, a survivor in the wreckage. But willpower is not an inexhaustible resource. Resilience takes a toll, especially when the fruits of your labor keep getting squashed or become rotted in the shadow of mental illness, one you've been trying to outrun your whole life. And she was tired. I know she was. To some degree, I think she always knew that she was living on borrowed time anyways, that she was bigger than this world and all of its constraints and constructs, and that one day she would return to her rightful place among the brightest of stars, an undiluted form of celestial energy once again. I feel my mom was like a comet, blazing in the sky at the speed of light, an astronomical event you'd be sad to miss. Short-lived with a blinding flash, leaving a trail of stardust in its wake. And in the strangest of ways, I feel relief that she doesn't have to fight anymore, that she can rest upon the curvature of the moon in peace and contentment. But God, do I miss my mom, and how lucky we all were to have existed within her orbit during this time on Earth. I was so incredibly fortunate to have the extraordinary mother that I did. The mom that sang The Circle Game by Joni Mitchell to me as an infant, who'd check her lipstick in the Jeep's rearview mirror on the way to church, who stayed up late journaling in the closet of our old house. The mom who superglued styrofoam bricks at midnight for a last-minute school project, smoothed fondant over homemade cakes, and made fun of QVC hosts that we loved watching anyways. The mom who sat with me on the couch and cried when it was time to make a hard decision. The mom who I cried with when life's hard decisions seemed to have harder consequences. My mom, until we meet in another life or another form, just two souls happy to see each other again. In the meantime, I will celebrate and honor her every chance I get, rambling about the excellency of her writing or quick-witted humor to anyone who will listen. I will remember her strength, her light, her affinity to always question why, a curious toddler in the form of a poet and a dreamer. I will tell the story of my mother to my own curious toddler one day, about a woman who was brave and kind, despite those who were not. About a woman who raised me into the woman I am today. And Mom, because I know you're listening up there somewhere, I love you, and I miss you, and I hope they still have Godiva chocolates in heaven.